Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be talking about HEX code orange. What do I mean? We just crossed the orange regression curve on our exponential fit for the first time since we had this peak back here in February, and before that, the last time we were above that was about January, okay? So remember, if you like this kind of quantitative hybrid technical analysis, leave a thumbs up. Subscribe by the end of the video if you aren't already. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers, so let's get there by the end of the day tomorrow, okay? Let's go ahead and dive into these charts. So code orange, we have officially crossed the orange curve here, as you can tell. And thank you guys so much for the support on the new website, lookintohex.com. Twitter was blowing up yesterday with only good words from you guys. My Twitter was blowing up. You guys were just saying you like the site and good work, all of that stuff. Super simple for those of you who were wondering, by the way, on how I built it. Just Wix, super easy, and embedded some Google Sheets that I already had, right? And to embed those, it's super easy. You just publish the Google Sheet and then copy paste this little piece of HTML code. So again, we crossed our orange regression curve, and it's updated here on the website, right? You can see that price is officially at around the 3.2 penny region or so. As you can tell here on Dex.vision, we're holding our 10-day moving average as we were talking about. And you know, what is it at today? 239. Yesterday it was at 222. So very quickly, our 10-day moving average is moving up. Not to say it's going to be support, but it has been historically for everywhere from March, 12th to April 10th. So about a month or so, we held it as support back here. So again, my thesis here is that we might be able to hold it support on the way up. Other than that, I did want to bring this up, right? Because as we look at our liquidity on V2, you can't help but wonder what the liquidity looks like on V3. Am I right? I was wondering, so I went ahead and checked. It's as simple as that. You just look up Uniswap Analytics or info.uniswap.org. You search HEX in the toolbar. Boom, you can see volume, total value locked, and liquidity pairs. So the major liquidity pair being HEX USDC. You click on that, and I'm very, very curious why the hell this looks like this. In my opinion, it shouldn't. Maybe I'm not seeing this right, not analyzing this right, but why is most of the liquidity concentrated between 1.18 pennies and 1.6 pennies? To me, this looks like effectively a bunch of limit orders set down here. Which, wait, I'm not an expert on this stuff, so whenever you see me kind of like stop and think during these videos, think with me here. Is this good for price? The fact that we have, say, all of this liquidity here in the mid 1 penny region, like, I get that it means that there would be buying support at those levels, right? It'd be bought right back up, so it might just be a wick. But the fact that we don't have liquidity for higher levels kind of blows my mind. Maybe I don't fully understand how this concentrated liquidity works, how liquidity distributions across price ranges work, because this is really new to me. I'm not gonna lie, it's really new to me. So I mean, Uniswap V3 is new. The concepts themselves may not be, but the fact that V3 is kind of forces me to learn more about just markets in general, order books, liquidity, depth, distributions, and so on. So yeah, if someone in the comments can explain to me why the liquidity is concentrated here in the mid 1 penny region, I'd love to know. Does that mean, for example, that as we keep blasting off into higher regions, like we're at 3 pennies now, if there's no liquidity up here, does price just like, does it just Judas candle us? Is that the word? Just absolutely tear through. Think of it like an order book, right? Like, where are the order books the thickest? And if you have this like iceberg, you can have iceberg orders, where I'd consider this to be an iceberg order, an iceberg limit order, which essentially means since we have this kind of liquidity concentrated here on this spike at 1.6 pennies, does that mean if price were to reach it, that it would essentially be you know, depending on the amount of people trying to sell into there, it would just be absolutely gobbled up by this liquidity. And in that sense, you have the thickest part of the order book here and the thinnest pretty much beyond the 2 penny region or so, right? Like, does that mean we have super thin order books above us and we're just going to keep launching off to the moon? Maybe, but in that case, these guys here with liquidity sitting in the 1 to 2 penny region are being either capital inefficient, or they're just going to be waiting forever. Like the guys who had limit orders at like 8K on Bitcoin. Like, explain to me. Someone explain to me what the hell's going on. All right, so if this is good for price, then leave as is. If not, liquidity providers, get your shit together, because I'm assuming you would want to, like, wouldn't you want to accurately predict the range, the price range, so you could provide liquidity for where price actually is, so you can get fees? Because as long as price is trading outside of the range which you specified for your liquidity, then you're not earning fees, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you guys actually trying to provide liquidity, or are you just doing the whole synthetic limit order thing? Let me know. Because if you're actually trying to provide liquidity and earn fees, then my understanding is you would want your liquidity set where we are now, in the 3 penny region. And I understand if you have to actively manage it and change it and move it around, it's difficult because you know, I'm sure you have to pay gas fees anytime you decide to move your liquidity, because I mean, let's be real, we're talking about Ethereum here. But yeah, I'd love to know, kind of, are you guys providing liquidity? If so, what's your plan? Where are you concentrating your liquidity, and why are any of these spikes you? I mean, don't dox yourself, right? But I really want to understand other people's strategies strategies as to why they're doing what they're doing. Do they have a specific plan? Do you think this is going to, you know, affect price in a certain way? Is that why you're doing what you're doing? A lot of questions, man, a lot of questions. But back to the topic of this video, code orange, we crossed the orange regression curve. I repeat, we crossed the orange regression curve. What does that mean? Well, could it be that we're playing out on the fractal that we've been talking about? And I've talked about it so many times on this chart here that I actually want to talk about it on this chart here, because it is the same chart at the end of the day. It's simply this chart, again, with the regression rainbow tilted over to be flat, so you can get a better idea of these peaks and these valleys. So again, we talked about this fractal so many times where we had accumulation more or less between orange and yellow back here, a spike to one curve above, and then consolidation here on the yellow curve before popping off. And we've talked about that we could be in a fractal here potentially where we have accumulation between red and orange, right? One zone lower, have a local peak up to the yellow curve, so one curve lower than this green one, and then consolidate around the orange. We've been talking about this, guys. We might be seeing consolidation of price around the orange regression curve for a while, just like we saw around the yellow regression curve over here, right, where we oscillated around it for about a month and then had an absolutely insane tear for about a month. So again, this might take longer to play out. This fractal has been taking about twice as long to play out. So I could see a scenario where we consolidate around the orange curve for maybe 1 to 2 months and then pop off to higher curve over the course of 1 to 2 months. So if it plays out in that way and it takes, say, exactly twice as long for consolidation and rally, then we're looking at maybe 4 months. So we could be looking at a September local peak in these higher regions. But again, we don't know what's going to happen, right? We have no clue. Could it be that enough people are looking at this fractal to where it might play out faster than last time, right? Or it might play out at the exact same speed because people are expecting it to be slower. So having it play out at the exact same speed as this last one would be faster than expectation. You see what I'm saying? So there are definitely some smart participants in this market. Yeah, there are some very, very smart participants in this market. Some whales in this market. I believe one of our friendly whales just bought 300 ether worth of HEX the other day. I saw it on Twitter, right, with at whale HEX, the HEX whale bot that updates you real time. Someone bought like $1 million USD. Amazing. And I believe they have like 100,000 ether. What is 100,000 times like 4,000? $400 million. So this dude has $500 million in his wallet, and he just spent $1 million on HEX yesterday. So definitely a lot of dry powder chilling on the sides, and that's just one guy, and that's just one wallet. Like, we don't know if this person has multiple wallets. I digress. Let me regain my breath here and get back to the matter at hand, that we have crossed the orange regression curve for the first time since February or so. And again, anything could play out. If this is an identical fractal, then we could be seeing a peak within 2 months. If it takes a little longer, maybe 4 months, so anywhere from July to September, might even happen sooner. No one knows. However, this is what the chart looks like, and we'll continue following it from there. If you haven't checked out the website, I encourage you to, because we have our charts here updated daily. All of these are updated daily except for the moving average heat maps, which I will do my best to update multiple times a week. It's just a little harder, right? Because I have to open up my Jupyter notebook and kind of like re-export some CSVs. It's a little more work, okay? That's all I'm getting at. It's a little more work to do these heat maps, which is why, by the way, these aren't interactive. These are the only non-interactive charts on the website. So I will do my best to update these as often as possible, but for the most part, if we're being real here, these three here are updated daily, so they're going to be your most reliable daily kind of live charts, right? So again, they're on the website. Check it out if you haven't already. Look into hex.com. Other than that, we did have some discussion in the forum, which is pretty cool. Someone talking about, let me double check and show you guys. Someone was discussing the OA coins and whether they should be counted or not in total supply. And my argument here was, I'll just read it to you guys, right? By that logic, then Satoshi's 1 million Bitcoin shouldn't be counted towards Bitcoin's market cap then. You see what I'm saying? How this very important fact that the 3.69% inflation rate we all know and love acts on the total supply, which is this 570 billion numbers. So to act like these coins don't exist is doing a disservice to the actual, any token holders idea of what the tokenomics are. Because at the end of the day, again, you have your inflation rate, the supply base on which, okay, how do I say this? The inflation rate of 3.69%, here it is. It acts on the total supply base, which includes these OA coins. So to pretend like they don't exist doesn't make a lot of sense, especially because, and I point this out here, right? Even though estimates of the OA holdings may differ, like no one knows exactly how many coins they have, although we have had community-made audits that say, maybe 80 to 90% of the coins are owned by the OA. Even if that is the case, I did the math here. At a 3.69% inflation, assuming the OA doesn't stake or stakes very little, then over the course of 35 years, that 80 to 90% would dwindle down to 10%. So just the same as we see with De Beers diamonds, the way they made diamonds so expensive via certain mechanisms, very clever mechanisms, then they owned a huge fraction of the total supply, and because they have incentive, the most incentive really, to see the value and the price of the thing go up, why would they devalue their own product, right? Their own asset. It doesn't make much sense. So assuming people act in their best interest, then the fact that 90% of the holdings are centralized to some entity with a vested interest in the coin, it's bullish in my opinion. It's just simple as that. And again, over the course of 35 years, then let's just hypothetically speaking, let's say the OA coin holds 300 billion to 500 billion coins. Just hypothetically speaking. Again, I have no clue. let's just say it were something that high. I doubt it's higher. So even if it were 90% over the course of 35, 40 years, that would dwindle down to be only 10%, which is a big deal because you have this kind of price moat, this price protection for the first decade, 2 decades, and truly speaking, it becomes a really distributed network. Not that it isn't right now, right? The network is distributed. I'm talking about the ownership. Then you actually get distributed ownership over the course of decades. So you don't see it immediately, and it's essentially a pseudo-centralized ownership system state transitioning over the course of decades into a more distributed ownership system state. So I think that's really cool. And then this guy here, Kento Tyler, talking a little bit about maybe CMC doesn't list HEX correctly because of liquidity. I'm personally not too sure what the criteria is. I don't know how much I actually care about CMC listing us, although it wouldn't hurt, right? More eyeballs. Let me know what you guys think about all of this, right? Hop in the forum if you want to chat about this. Let me know what you think in the comments about where we are now, the fact that we are closing highest price we ever have, right? Constant all-time highs. We've been on a tear for the past, how many days? Date and price range. We've been on a absolute tear over the past 11 days. We're already up around 2.5x, but that's, I was about to say something, but you know what? We'll say that for the next video. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this kind of HEX quantitative technical hybrid analysis, leave a thumbs up, be subscribed by now, especially if you've made it this far. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.